All right, y'all, we got a spicy update for you today. So apparently InfoWars is officially being shut down. Let's go ahead and dive into the specifics. I have an Alex Jones reaction for you as well. Then I'll talk about what this actually means moving forward. Like Rudy Giuliani and many others, Alex Jones filed for bankruptcy in an attempt to delay collection of a massive civil judgment against him. The delay attempt didn't last very long for Jones. The bankruptcy trustee appointed by the court filed an emergency motion on Sunday seeking to liquidate Alex Jones' principal asset, his decades-old InfoWars show that made him moderately rich and infamous. In the filing, trustee Christopher Murray informed the court that he intended to liquidate all the assets, inventory, and shut down the operations of InfoWars in an orderly wind-down of the company. Jones was forced to file for bankruptcy after the Sandy Hook families obtained a $1.5 billion defamation judgment against him. Jones has said several times on his show over the past couple of weeks that this was coming. He was attempting to sell the company, which would delay liquidation indefinitely. He wanted to stay on as an employee of the new employer, arguing that the company was worthless without him, so the Sandy Hook families would get nothing if it was liquidated. Apparently, the Sandy Hook families had other priorities as they pressed the bankruptcy court to move forward. Jones will likely resurface in a new project like Tucker, but he will still be starting over after decades building the company he founded with a smaller audience and platform. Knowing Alex, he will reincarnate himself into an even more repulsive but smaller operation. All right, so let's break this down. Basically, the court was like, we've had enough. You haven't paid these people that you owe a tremendous amount of money to anything yet. So we're liquidating your assets, and we're going to give them the proceeds. That's basically what's going on here. So Alex Jones went on Glenn Beck's show, and he starts talking about this. Here we go.
Alex Jones is here to give us a comment on this. Hello, Alex.
Glenn, thanks for having me on. This is very historic. The, quote, families who are represented by high-powered Democrat Party law firms, the same ones suing Elon Musk right now for defamation, different plaintiffs, the same lawyers, they went on CNN last week and said, we do not want money. We want it immediately closed. The door is closed. They don't want to sell the millions of dollars of inventory, books, films, T-shirts, supplements.
That's not true. They're liquidating it to give them money because you're not paying otherwise. So they have no move but to liquidate your stuff and give them the money. So the idea it's not about money. It is literally directly about money. You owe them money and you're not paying it.
They don't want it. They want it immediately shut down. And they said because we want to stop his speech. They actually said that on CNN. If you want, I can send you the clip. It's just outrageous how transparent this is. And again, in Texas and Connecticut, in both show trials 2 years ago, both judges found me guilty of failure to give any discovery, but we gave them everything. There was just no...
Okay, already multiple things that are not true. First of all, the idea this is about censorship and this is about shutting him up. 100% untrue. He still can say whatever the hell he wants to say. He's just going to have to do it under a different name, on a different platform, in a different studio, what have you. He could just start recording from his cell phone. It doesn't matter. The idea that he's being censored is not true. He's literally talking right now on a show on Blaze TV to Glenn Beck's audience. There is no censorship here. You could say what you want. You can say what you want. Now, some things, if you cross a line into defamation, well, there will be actions taken against you, but just don't defame anybody. Other than that, say whatever the fuck you want. Now he goes on to talk about how, the case was rigged. That's basically the point he's making. It's not true. The reason why he was found guilty by default is because he wasn't going along with the process of discovery. He was not handing over documents that he had to hand over. And so they had no choice but to do guilty by default.
So what they said that we did, so instead both judges found me guilty in default and then had juries decide how guilty I was. They then put on evidence that I had $400 million in the bank. I didn't have $5 million in the bank. All of it was total disinformation. I was not allowed to put on defense.
He says he wasn't allowed to put on a defense. That's not true. Because when he tried to, quote unquote, make a defense, it was literally just the sentencing portion of the civil lawsuit where they're determining the dollar figure that he's going to have to pay. He had every opportunity in the world to make a defense, but he would have had to do it in the court before he was found guilty by default. So in other words, he would have had to go along with discovery and then make his argument in the courtroom. Instead, what did he do? He was found guilty by default because he didn't go along with discovery. And then when it came time to be in the courtroom to figure out the dollar figure, then he starts making a defense. Well, that ship has sailed, dog. See, again, all that he's so loose with the facts. It's crazy.
People that watched the hearing said, why don't his lawyers defend him? Well, they weren't allowed to. So this is very dangerous.
Because it was the sentencing phase. It was when they were determining the dollar figure. You had already been found guilty. That's why. You had the opportunity to do it. You didn't defend yourself when you could have because you didn't go along with discovery. Oh, my God. Such a liar. And look at Glenn Beck, fucking Colonel Sanders looking dumbass sitting there, just letting him, flood the airways with misinformation.
Very, very precedent setting, but they've now publicly admitted we don't want money, we want to shut it down. So they had filed a few weeks ago to totally just shut the doors. And so I said, fine, I'll do an orderly liquidation. That way the stuff actually gets sold off. The employees might get some severance. I can go work for somebody else, be part of their operation. They're not going to silence me. And so they immediately ran to the same judge that found me guilty without a jury trial in Texas. And just in a summary hearing, no evidence, said, boom, seize all the assets. So now the federal trustee is in a fight with them, trying to block them today, grabbing the bank accounts and having the sheriff's department, it's in order, come and lock the doors. So everybody's already basically got their stuff out of the building weeks ago. And remember, when I told people that they'd done filings to do this, the media said, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Nobody wants to silence them. So the corporate establishment media, the leftist media's default is to always
the leftist media, that's rich,
deny reality and then turn around the next day and admit it was actually true. So, Glenn, I really appreciate you having me on to talk about this because, again, people ask how I'm taking it. This is a big, big deal, not just for me, but the whole country and the whole world. They've admitted in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, CNN, everywhere, that they're going to use this precedent against me in lawfare against everybody else. So they use you as the beta test to kick the number one talk show host in the world politically at the time, you off of Fox, using a bunch of threats and disinfo and going after sponsors. And then now they're
stroking his ego, stroking Glenn Beck's ego so that he gets let back on. So again, let's be clear. Is Alex Jones now banned from doing a talk show? No, not at all. Not at all. He wasn't paying the people he owed money to. They had to liquidate his assets so they could pay them something, right? He can pop up again today under a different name. Totally fine. Not being censored remotely. But what does he do? He goes out there and lies about it relentlessly. Look, at this point, I can't fathom for the life of me anybody who would listen to him and think they're getting the truth, right? Look at this first comment. It's 100% about censorship. They need to set a precedent. How is it about censorship if he could still get on air today? How is that censorship? He lost a defamation case. He owes a lot of money. He hasn't paid that money. That's why this is happening. So anyway, I can't understand for the life of me anybody who would listen to him knowing he just hit you with a fucking fire hose of bullshit. That was a tsunami of lies that he put out there. And at this point, anybody who's listening to it and taking it at face value, it's like, I'm sorry, you just want to be lied to. You're a narrative humper. You have your own narrative and you're sticking to it regardless of what the facts are. Your narrative is that, oh my God, Alex Jones is such a victim, bro. He's such a victim, bro, and he's standing up to the establishment, bro, by lying about Sandy Hook and 6- and 7-year-olds who were murdered, bro. Okay, if that's how you want to engage with politics, by all means, go right ahead. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that you're serious, right? You're a bit of a joke if that's how you want to engage with politics. At this point, the people who still listen to him, they just want to be lied to. There's no way around that. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.